Hi, welcome back to the Rich Fritzky Show. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks to anyone out there for tuning in. It's appreciated. And I'm actually going to go to a place that I'm typically advised not to go to in this medium. I want you to know the all of me, not just the guy who's blessed family-wise and who cares very deeply about the craziness of our politics. I want you to get the all of me. I'm 71 years old now. Maybe that has something to do with it. I never thought I'd get to this point. When I was so sick for so long, never thought it was possible. But I'm here all right. And I'm going to speak to what I care about, what I believe. A long, long time ago, I was spending time with the pastor at Holy Trinity Church in Hackensack. I was only about 8 or 9, and the gentleman in question was old Monsignor Murphy. He was schooling us in the Latin as we were preparing to be altar boys. He never stopped cheering for his home team, advising us again and again and again that only we Catholics could enter the kingdom of heaven. Only our one holy, true, and apostolic church was a portal to heaven. Only us. Now, maybe he just protested too much, or maybe he was addled, but oh Lord, how he sold that. Deeply troubling me, because the Montesanos, they were 5 brothers just like us. We were tight friends with them. They weren't Catholics. Minnie Bednash, a couple of houses down, had come from Jersey City just like my mom and dad. And she was my mom's best friend. She wasn't Catholic. And old Mrs. Berry, right next door, she was part of our family. And she wasn't Catholic. And by the way, her church had better stained glass, a much bigger steeple, and much better bells that actually played on Sunday mornings. The truth is, I don't believe it's a question. And I rebelled even back then of one size fitting all. I'm with the wonderful rabbi in Mitch Albom's book, Have a Little Faith. At one point, Mitch is with the rabbi in a grocery store while he's tooling around in one of those motorized grocery carts, having a long conversation with a few young women who are wearing saris. When he finally returns to Mitch, he proclaims, "Ah, Mitch, Eastern mysticism, what beautiful faith they have, what beautiful faith." Mitch says, "Rabbi, aren't you supposed to be rooting for your own team?" And the rabbi smiles and quizzically asks him, "How many trees, Mitch? How many trees are there on this beautiful earth?" Mitch looks at him like, "You really want me to answer this?" So the rabbi answers his own question. And he says, "The poplar, Mitch, the maples, hickories, pines, oh, so many pines, Mitch. The walnut, aspens, oaks, the great redwoods. Oh, they're an endless array of tree, Mitch. And they all have one thing in common. They proudly lift up their beautiful green leaves towards the heavens in thanks and in praise. Oh, so many trees, Mitch, but one God." With that in mind, I'm going to share 2 pieces I wrote some time ago from 2 different books of mine. The first piece is from this reflection in my book, What Must Needs Come, A Legacy of Gettysburg. My focus had been upon the profound faith that drove the life of Lee and his men. How could they set off across that field, knowing what they were going to face, knowing what was in front of them? Because many, many, many of them were marching towards the graves and to the promise of the world to come and to whatever they believed. So I found myself basking in the faith of my own fathers, those who taught me that darkness is always followed by the dawn, and that faith is the cornerstone of life, or in everything I touched or saw that moment. To toil for something is an act of faith. To commit your life to someone is an act of faith. To strive because you believe, to dream, to pray, all are acts of faith. The handiwork in the desk here before me that my grandfather made, maybe 80 to 90 years ago, in it his faith and his hope for the future. And there just across the way is my Uncle Skip's chalice. And in it there are these stubs of 2 diamonds. Tiny pieces of diamonds. They were from my grandmother's wedding ring. That wedding ring, that was an act of faith. Skip's chalice was his very take and eat, for this is my body. It was his take and drink, for this is my blood. My dad's Master Sergeant stripes. Good Lord. He wore them on his arms for more than 3 years in Europe during World War II. A frontline medic. Just imagine. The soulmate cup that Mag gave me. Pics of my children. All are the rich byproducts of faith. So I went on writing here. I looked for an old piece I wrote when Mag was pregnant with our 12th child. And I addressed the fact that we thought we were done, but God had other plans. That we thought we couldn't go further, but that God said, oh, yes, you can. The truth is that the world looks upon my Maggie and I as if we were crazy. It does not suffer the fool in us. Yet in having 12 children, we did let God do the planning, and we took both them and tomorrow on faith and faith alone. And the truth is that all along the way we have stumbled and struggled. All along the way we have said that we can do no more. But that power far mightier than us kept saying, oh, yes, you can. Each time that we have said we can't, we have heard, oh, yes, you can. Each time we have questioned how, we have heard, it is enough to know that you can. Each time we despaired or cried, we saw a light. The problem faded, and we discovered once again that we had already overcome. We go forward on faith in this life. It is what we learn from our fathers and what we pass on to our children. The second little reading came from a Pilgrim song about my mom's sister, my Aunt Mary, handicapped all of her life, and the founder of a Catholic entity that welcomed people of all faiths in service to the handicapped in a wide region. I wrote it to advance what was her own cause for sainthood, only to find my efforts ignored by the fathers of the church. Understandably, the Pope, he's a rather busy guy, but not understandably by the cardinal of her own diocese. Hear a piece from a Pilgrim song that celebrates my faith. I begin by reading a piece from a letter from Mother Teresa, or now Saint Mother Teresa, to my Aunt Mary at the time Mary lost her oldest daughter and my cousin Billy. Billy died from a devastatingly debilitating disease. She long suffered, and this is written in the wake of that by Mother Teresa to Mary. You know God loves you, Mary, with a very tender and delicate love. You have been his love and compassion, his sunshine of joy, his hope of eternal happiness to so many, many souls. And it is only natural that in being so close to his heart, you must share his pain and loneliness. You are all right, Mary. It is only the kiss of Christ. I kept reading those lines, and then I pictured my aunt at the altar with her hands clasped in prayer the moment before, just that precious moment before she was to receive the Eucharist. It's truly etched in me, that look, because I marveled at the sweetness of her smile. And whenever I got the chance, when I was with her, I'd look, and there it would be, right before she was to receive the Eucharist, that sweet knowing, intimately knowing smile of hers. And in that moment, immediately after I penned the lines about that, my daughter Rosie called, because she had to speak to someone about a breaking news story. The numbing December 14, 2012 mass murder of 20 young children and of 26 altogether in an elementary school in Newtown, Connecticut. Just to think that I was reflecting upon Mother Teresa's and Mary's, it is only the kiss of Christ, at the very moment I got that news. As my heart dropped and the oh my God, why reverberated, and my mind turned to the families of the slaughtered innocents, I again imagined my aunt, literally pictured her at the altar, and reflected upon the kiss of Christ and the unfinished work that we, as a society and a people, must do to be worthy of the love of God. I imagined the cherubim and seraphim of Advent, and the heralding cry of Christus natus est, and Mary Varick and Mother Teresa weeping and my Lord embracing those whose lives were just lost, as we are in this moment lost. Too soon for us, too wrong for us, too tragic for us, too unfathomable for us, and only the perfect love of a loving God can sustain us, for we are otherwise lost. Were there no bread of life and no kiss of Christ, there could be no life or light in a world where such madness threatens to break us. But it does not break us, because faith never succumbs to madness or even to mass indifferent murder. It does not break us, because the promise of redemption is ours, and the bread of life is there for us in the Eucharist, and Christ's arms are ever and always open. No matter the darkness, there is always the light. Yes, you are all right, Mary. It is only the kiss of Christ. As Billy suffered and as Mary and Teresa lived and died in the suffering of others, and as these children were taken in a rapid and sudden and appalling fury, and in that moment to come, when our own bodies will break, there will be the kiss of Christ. There is always the kiss of Christ. To be worthy is but to lay our selfish tendencies down and to give ourselves away in faith and in love. In light of today, our only response must be to go to faith, to go to love. Mother Teresa did so always. Mary Varick did so always, in suffering and in tragedy and in humility and in our hopelessness to God. Yes, Mary, you are all right. It is only the kiss of Christ. Take care, my friends. I thank you for tuning in and having a listen and being with. It means an awful lot. As I say all the time, keep smiling on your brothers and sisters. Take care. Thank you.